From Manila to the globe, this is World Newsfeed, bringing you the biggest stories shaping our times. Good morning, I'm Raine Musñgi. Let's dive into the headlines making a global impact. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected Tuesday the idea of a ceasefire in Lebanon that would leave Hezbollah close to his country's northern border as the militant group threatened to widen its attacks. Netanyahu's comments came as the United States ramped up pressure over Israel's conduct of the wars in Lebanon and Gaza, criticizing the recent bombing of Beirut and demanding that more aid reach the Palestinian territory. In a call with French President Emmanuel Macron, Netanyahu said he was opposed to a unilateral ceasefire which does not change the security situation in Lebanon and which will only return it to the way it was. The UN Security Council on Monday expressed strong concern after several peacekeeping positions in southern Lebanon came under fire amid clashes between the Israeli military and Hezbollah.
The 27 members agreed on asking Israel to stop attacking UNIFIL. Many European members are participating in this mission. Their work is very important. It's completely unacceptable attacking United Nations troops.
We have reached out to our Israeli friend to make our position very clear. No, they will not withdraw. No, yes, they will continue to fulfill their mandate. And yes, we demand on each and every party to respect this mandate and respect the security and safety of our blue helmets, which has to be ensured at each and every occasion.
EU countries led by Italy, France, and Spain have thousands of troops in the 10,000-strong peacekeeping mission in southern Lebanon, which has said it has repeatedly come under attack from Israeli forces in recent days. Israel has ordered residents of 25 villages in southern Lebanon to evacuate and called on the UN to move the troops out of the combat zone.
Israel is not fighting UNIFIL. It's not fighting the people of Lebanon. It is fighting Iran's proxy Hezbollah, which uses Lebanese territory to attack Israel. These attacks have claimed the lives of many Israelis, including yesterday. Israel has every right to defend itself against Hezbollah and will continue to do so. We regret any harm done to UNIFIL personnel, and the IDF is doing its utmost to prevent such incidents. But the best way to ensure the safety of UNIFIL personnel is for UNIFIL to heed Israel's request and to temporarily get out of harm's way.
Meanwhile, North Korea blew up the northern section of unused roads that once linked it with the south, with the rivals exchanging threats in the past days. This comes after Pyongyang's claim that South Korea flew drones over its capital. In a symbolic display of anger, the road's choreographed demolition underlines North Korea's growing anger against South Korea's conservative government. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has vowed to sever relations with South Korea and abandon the goal of achieving peaceful Korean unification. In response to the explosions, South Korea's military fired within southern sections of the border. The statement did not give details, but the move could have been an attempt to avert cross-border fire with North Korea. Iran condemned new EU and British sanctions on Tehran and denied providing ballistic missiles to Russia. Iran's foreign ministry said in a post on X Tuesday, imposing sanctions, including an asset freeze and a travel ban to the European Union, goes against international law. The European Union agreed on Monday to impose sanctions on 7 people and 7 organizations, including airline Iran Air, for their links to Iranian transfers of ballistic missiles to Russia. Britain also added 9 new designations under its Iran sanctions regime. Last month, the United States, citing intelligence it said it had been shared with allies, said Russia had received ballistic missiles from Iran for its war in Ukraine. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian committed his country to deeper ties with Russia to counter Western sanctions. The United States has warned the Iranian government to stop all plotting against Donald Trump. A U.S. official speaking on condition of anonymity says U.S. President Joe Biden has directed his team to address Iranian plots against Americans. He added, the Iranians have been told that Washington would view it as an act of war if any attempt was carried out against Trump's life. The former president has survived 2 assassination attempts in recent weeks. Iran has denied interfering in U.S. affairs, saying it is Washington that has interfered in its affairs, citing the 2020 killing of its military commander in a U.S. drone strike. In January 2020, Trump ordered a U.S. airstrike that killed Iran's then top military commander, Qasem Soleimani. Meanwhile, Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris warned her supporters about Donald Trump's comments that there is an enemy within the United States. During a campaign stop at Erie, Pennsylvania, Harris played sound bites from Trump's interviews where he speaks about the danger of an enemy within, close quotation marks. Following the videos, Harris said those comments were targeting people who did not support or agree with the former president.
You heard his words coming from him. He's talking about the enemy within Pennsylvania. He's talking about the enemy within our country, Pennsylvania. He's talking about that he considers anyone who doesn't support him or who will not bend to his will an enemy of our country. It's a serious issue. He is saying that he would use the military to go after them. Think about this. And we know who he would target. And we know who he would target because he has attacked them before. Journalists whose stories he doesn't like. Election officials who refuse to cheat by filling extra votes and finding extra votes for him. Judges who insist on following the law instead of bending to his will. This is among the reasons I believe so strongly that a second Trump term would be a huge risk for America and dangerous.
Harris's trip to Pennsylvania is her 10th to the battleground state since she announced her candidacy for president in July. The state's 19 electoral college votes will be pivotal to the election outcome. Russia visits Beijing amid China's tensions with Taiwan. What was discussed is coming up. World Newsfeed will be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Russia and China held substantive talks, defense and military talks, to bolster ties. Russia's defense minister on Tuesday confirmed that Moscow and Beijing cemented a no-limits partnership and step-up criticism of U.S. efforts to extend its influence in Asia. China's defense ministry said after the meeting that both sides hope to deepen and expand military relations and maintain high-level exchanges. The meeting took place as China's military vowed to take further action against Taiwan if needed, after staging a day of war games it said were a warning to separatist acts and which drew condemnation from the Taiwanese and U.S. governments. Hong Kong is expected to announce measures to boost the city's economy in its annual policy address on Wednesday. This as it seeks to revive the financial hub, which has been struggling to recover since the pandemic. Hong Kong leader John Lee is expected to give the address focused on economic development, which may include slashing liquor tariffs. Lee's government pushed through with new national security laws in March, which he said had improved stability. Although tourism numbers have rebounded since COVID, 46 million visitors expected this year, consumption and retail spending remain sluggish, while stock listings have dried up and capital flight remains a challenge. India's main opposition Congress party has urged Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government to take all political parties into confidence regarding worsening ties with Canada. This comes a day after the two countries said they expelled each other's diplomats. Ties deteriorated further on Monday with the expulsions, while Canada linked India's diplomats to the murder of a Sikh separatist leader and accused the South Asian nation of a broader effort to target Indian dissidents in Canada. In other stories, Germany's expanding Indo-Pacific engagement was on display on Tuesday as it pushes for a strong military presence in the region. Two warships, the FGS Baden-Württemberg and FGS Frankfurt am Main, docked at Malaysia's Port Klang. This visit underscores Germany's dedication to maintaining freedom of navigation in the Indo-Pacific at a time when territorial disputes have intensified, particularly involving China.
Would like to state that our commitment is to peace and security in these waters. We believe, or we are concerned about what is happening in the Philippines, and of course we would like China to refrain from such actions. But the purpose of this Indo-Pacific deployment is just to demonstrate our commitment to international law, to UNCLOS, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea.
The European Commission plans to tighten its migration stance amid pressure from governments across the bloc. In a letter, the Commission's head Ursula von der Leyen tells EU leaders that she intends to address key migration issues at a gathering of the bloc this week. Von der Leyen is proposing to accelerate the implementation of a new migration pact to better handle asylum claims and migrant flows. The Commission also plans to return migrants without rights to stay in the EU to hubs outside the bloc. The number of irregular migrants in the EU last year was less than a third of its peak in 2015. Still, migration remains a very sensitive topic, influencing elections across Europe. Our feature stories in a moment. Stay with us on World Newsfeed. In sports, the opportunities keep on coming for Filipino racer Bianca Bustamante. She is set to join Neom McLaren, a second driver for the women's test next month in Valencia, Spain. Bianca will be paired alongside Welsh racer Ella Lloyd. Bustamante has been competing in the F1 Academy for McLaren and Art Grand Prix. The 19-year-old racer secured her first podium finish back in May in race 2 of the second round at the Miami Grand Prix. On to showbiz now. K-pop girl group ITZY released their album Gold, marking their highly anticipated comeback featuring the title track of the same name. The music video quickly gained nearly 4 million views after its upload. This marks the group's first comeback as a full 5-member team, with Leah returning after a year-long hiatus due to health reasons. The album includes 11 tracks featuring 2 title tracks, Gold and Imaginary Friend, with Stray Kids' Changbin collaborating on Vague. It also features final versions of Born to Be and Untouchable. Turning now to some light news, the largest ever dinosaur skeleton is going up for auction in France next month. The Apatosaurus measures 25 meters long and was discovered in a Wyoming dig in 2018. 80% of its skeleton is original, dating back 145 million years. It is expected to fetch up to 15 million euros or $16 million in the auction, which will be held on November 16th. This long-necked dinosaur is famously featured in toys, books, and in the film Jurassic Park.
You don't have to forget that a dinosaur is a scientific piece. It's part of humanity and our story of Earth. So even if you are the owner of this one, the scientists have the access. You will keep the access to this piece and to learn about dinosaur. There is many to learn, and it's because for the head, we have never seen such a head complete. For the tail, before this piece, they have never seen this before, for example. They didn't know that there is teeth like this. Or this part also, it's new. In the Museum of America, you don't have this. It's new. It's never seen.
Over to Germany, where a hospital eager to dish out meals around the clock has turned to a robotic chef for assistance. From German classics to Asian cuisine, the robot can prepare up to 120 different meals within just minutes. Food orders are made through a touchscreen display, but the robotic kitchen does not work entirely without people. Its refrigerator is actually filled every day with already cut and pre-cooked ingredients by hospital employees. And that's all for now. Thank you so much for joining us. Catch up with us again tomorrow at 10 when we bring you the world in 30 minutes only on World Newsfeed. Follow the Money comes next. We leave you with live scenes from the northern border of Israel with Lebanon. Keep it here on the Billionaire News channel, always on top.